Hello everybody, my name is Pixie People. Welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel if you're new. And today, we're going to do What If Deku had the 10 Shadows technique from Jujutsu Kaisen. And let's just, enough talk, let's get into the what if. So we start our story with Deku at 4 years old, turning 5. And that's usually when the doctors told him that he'd unlock his quirk. So, he's excited to know what his quirk is, hoping he has one. But he just expects to have one. Anyways, we cut to Deku sitting on a couch, watching TV. And Chile sees a dog, thinking he really wants one. And that thought becomes reality when a portal opens up and shows a dog climbing out of it. It's a black and white dog wagging its tail. It jumps up onto Deku's lap and just lays there, with Deku giddy because one, he got a dog, and two, he's quirk unlocked. But he controls himself and just pets the dog and naps, with Inko waking him up, asking Deku if this is his quirk, with Deku exclaiming yes. And Deku hugs his mom, with Inko hugging him back with a big squeeze, with the dog stuck between. Anyways, when Deku's about to go to sleep, the dog jumps right back into the portal, with Deku feeling sad, but he thinks he can just summon him again, which he can, proving that the next day. But let's just do a little montage of Deku unlocking his shadows, I guess. He unlocks the bird one next when he's trying to grab a snack from the top of the fridge, with the bird being unlocked, with it flying up and grabbing it for Deku, with Deku hugging the bird, with the bird just chilling there. Excited because Deku got another thing that wasn't just a dog. And the next time, he purposely makes this one, he tries to summon a snake, because those sound cool. And the snake burst out as pretty medium-sized snake, and slithers onto Deku's arm and just chills there, with Deku looking at the snake, realizing the snake is super ultra elongated, like even for a snake. And the snake, seeing Deku this uncomfortable, he slithers off and goes back into the portal. And that's how Deku met the snake. Which this also makes Deku test if the bird and the dog have any techniques, with the dog being able to transform into a fighting form, with the bird basically shooting electricity off it. It's basically, I guess, friction, I guess. It's basically a friction bird. Forgot to mention the bird has the weird mask that the original bird had from the Jujutsu Kaisen series. Anyways, let's continue. Deku then meets a tiger. This is also in Megumi's arsenal, we just never got to see him. And this animal, as ability, is able to just stop other quirks. The way Deku learned this is because the tiger was irritated because Inko was spritzing with a bottle because it tried to get Deku food. And so the cat roared at Inko, which made her quirk all fuzz up and drop the bottle she was holding with her telekinesis. Remember, this is Inko when she could still use her quirk really effectively. Yeah. Then we see Deku summon a deer when he's sick, and the deer heals him. We see, because that's also an arsenal, we see Deku summon toads that basically help Deku with, he purposely summoned these guys because he thought frogs would be cool. He likes reptiles. And then Deku summons a little cow, with Deku, then realizing it's an ox pretty quickly. Yeah, that's all. That's Deku's lineup for this series. Yes, he'll get Magaraga eventually, but not yet. So, yeah, that's Deku's arsenal for now. So, we just see Deku get to his 5-year birthday with all those animals around him. And then they all blow it out together. All the animals in him. So Deku's 5 years old now, and we see him go to school, meeting Bakugo Katsu, with Bakugo saying his quirk pretty cool. Not compared to his quirk with him shooting up explosions. With Deku saying that is awesome, and he wants to show Bakugo more of his quirk later. They're on recess at this time, and Deku just summoned his dog to play with him. And later that day, Inko and Mitsuki, being old school friends, see that their children are becoming good friends. So they set up a playdate with Deku, then showing Bakugo the whole quirk, with Bakugo being ecstatic to see Deku with such a cool quirk. Animals that have any just separate abilities is so cool. And this friendship lasts for all the way up until middle school. By all the way up until middle school, they're still friends in middle school. And yeah, it's a simple little time skip for us. So we see the teacher during the whole speech how he knows everyone wants to be heroes, and Deku and Bakugo, of course, want to be. And they're both going to go to UA because they're best pals. They're going to go to the same school and become best pals still. Anyways, let's continue. Deku, after school, walks with Bakugo back to his house first, because they planned on training together for the 10-month training arc. Inko already knew about this, by the way. And, of course, he doesn't just train there the whole 10 months, but yeah. But Bakugo and Deku train their quirks up to their peak for right now, and after the 10 months are over, the UA thing starts. With Bakugo and Deku saying to both each other, whoever gets first is better than the other. With Bakugo saying he's clearly going to win because his quirk is just cooler. It's better than Deku's, but Deku begs to differ. Anyways, we see Deku walk into UA and meet Ochako Urawa. They talk for a second, Deku still being awkward considering he's still Deku, an awkward kid around girls. But after they're done meeting, Deku takes the thing. Doesn't gush as much as he does in the original, to the point where Ida doesn't call him out on it. But they take the quiz peacefully. Deku gets a B+. He's not that intelligent. But, yeah. Then they get to the robot thing, with Deku doing the same thing he did in the original, trying to go talk to Ochako. But Ida stopping him, telling him that he's trying to disrupt the competition, with Deku about to explain that he didn't mean it like that, until Prison Mike shoots over his trying to explain and says, "What are y'all doing? Heroes don't wait around. Go, go, go!" And then he opened the gates and they all rushed, with Deku immediately summoning a portal, making Niji. I think that's how you pronounce it. Nuji? Haven't watched the series in a minute. Don't know how to pronounce the bird's name. But he summons the bird, and the bird clasps onto Deku's hands, and they fly over to the robots. So they fly over the crowd so Deku doesn't get trampled. And then Deku lands, doing like a roll, and then summons his ox to do a bit of a bulldoze. So the ox slams into the ground, pulling up a slab and pushing that slab like a bulldozer. So then it just destroys like 3 robots in a row. They were all 3-pointers. So 9 points for Deku. Then Deku summons his bird. The bird's still summoned. Then it shoots out electricity to and then flies around like 6 robots. They're pretty low points, 1 and 2s, and they all get short circuit and drop. Then the bird comes back with Deku desummoning the Ox, with the bird pulling Deku into a different area, with Deku landing onto a building, summoning the tiger, and the tiger lands and roars at the top of its lungs to cancel out every single quirk person in that vicinity, which was around 4. So Deku could take all of the things. So Deku then summoned his snake thing, which just flew around, destroying all of them with basically its body weight. By the way, it's gotten significantly bigger than it was when Deku was 5. It's basically the size of it was in the anime when it fought Sukuna. So after all the things get destroyed, Deku takes a break and actually desummons most of his animals and summons the bunnies is just to go get more points for him while he rests. So the bunnies multiply and basically make a tsunami of bunnies, and they destroy a couple of robots for Deku, with Deku basically impressing the hero teachers immediately, considering how easy he was able to just tear through all these robots easy, and able to improvise in situations where he really wasn't that skilled in, which was taking out multiple things, which was speed, because they knew that if Deku didn't do the whole tiger roar thing, whatever that thing does, he wouldn't have gotten it. With Aiwa piquing interest in Deku, considering he definitely saw the tiger just cancel out all their quirks. Anyways, we see Deku jump off that building and desummon the rabbits, with him summoning his dog again and it transforming immediately into its boxing form, basically. It was a slang, it meant to say fighting form. And we just see Deku take out some robots with the tiger. Oh, meant the wolf. And eventually Deku looks over to see the 0-pointer, and he's about to run away, considering it's a 0-pointer, until he sees Ochako, the girl he was just talking to, trapped under rubble. And him not wanting to risk the fact that teachers might not have seen her, he summons his bird up, and they fly right into the air. And yes, Fujitoro can summon... Megumi can summon stuff in the air, it's not just in the ground. So he summons his snake to wrap around the 0-pointer, all around it, considering I think the snake used to elongate in the series. Megumi got cut from the series for being overpowered. So the snake wraps around all around the 0-pointer, completely locking it in place, with Deku then summoning the elephant. He got this animal over the 10 months with training with Bakugo, with Deku annoyed because Bakugo was running around all the place, and Deku not being able to block him. So he summoned the elephant on reflex to blast Bakugo, with it shooting water at first, but Deku realizing it's basically just a mass of weight. So he summons the elephant, with the snake then sliding into a portal, and the elephant slams into the 0-pointer, crushing its head, really. And then when it tips over, then the elephant jumps through a portal. Then the bird flies Deku over to Ochako, with him taking off the rubble by himself, with the bird flying into the thing, with Deku realizing there's basically no time left. So he pulls Deku out of the thing and Ochako out of the thing, and walks over to Recovery Girl, who's running up on the scene. After Deku puts down Ochako and lets her get healed, Ochako thanks Deku, with Deku saying it's no problem. But, yep. that's where the thing ends. And of course, Deku got in. There's no way he didn't get in. There were too many teachers that were interest peaked in that when Deku was fighting, and he got really high. But I will say, Bakugo still wins because Baku is able to do more and faster without having to tactically think. He can just send out an explosion, and that takes out like 3. Baku got first, with Deku getting second. With Baku gloating at Deku when they get back. When they get their letters, with Baku texting Deku and telling him that he got first, with Deku saying he got second. Which Baku is saying that second doesn't mean anything. With Deku saying it means a lot, actually. Baku's saying he doesn't care. Well, a few days later, they go to school, with Bakugo and Deku linking back up and sitting next to each other, with Ochako then talking to Deku more on how she's really grateful. But, yeah. Then Aizawa shows up and tells them to pipe down. So they all pipe down, and Aizawa explains that they're going to do a little training thing. But then Ochako says that they have orientation. Now it says, heroes don't have time for that trivial stuff. They need to train immediately. But, yeah. But Aizawa then brings them out to the yard where they're all in their outfits, with him telling them they're going to throw a ball. With him pointing to Bakugo, saying he's first. And then Deku is. And then the third person and he says that we didn't get the third person who isn't third. So Bakugo steps up, gets the ball, and sends it to where he threw it in the original. With Deku then stepping up, because that's who we care about, with Deku giving it to the bird. With then the bird flying really far away. Just enough to where he beats Bakugo's ball by a millimeter. By putting the ball in front of the other ball. With Bakugo saying, petty. What? And Bakugo says nothing. Anyways, Deku walks back, and Ochako shows up next, and then gets an infinite, and then Deku's jaw drops, with Bakugo's also dropping. Well, really all of Class 1A's drops. Anyways, let's just say Deku gets pretty average scores, really. Because I think most of the training thing were really only required physical strength. Anyways, we see Deku getting at least 5th place because of that ball throw. Yeah. As always says, good job everyone. Considering no one said, this looks fun. Because Deku cheated, kind of. And everyone got annoyed. But, so that kept everyone from saying, this looks fun. So after the school day, Bakugo and Deku walk with each other. Until Bakugo sees his house and says bye to Deku. As you can see, Deku and Bakugo are pretty tight. And oh yeah, I forgot to mention Ida apologized for his actions about the whole saying that he was distracting Ochako. But Deku said he didn't care. Yeah. Next day, All Might appears, with everyone shocked out of their dang minds. No one saw this coming. So All Might then explains that their new hero teacher, and he's going to teach them intense situations that they'll need to know in the future. And today they're going to do heroes versus villains. So he says to go get their hero outfits that they designed later ago. And you know what? I think Deku just wants to go with something simple. So he goes for like a black jumpsuit. And the jumpsuit has pockets, of course, to like show like some medical supplies and stuff. and he has black gloves on and, let's say, a black mask. Kind of full body ninja, really. Let's say like um, a mask that covers his top of his head. Just think Iron Fist, but with holes. So that's what Deck is wearing. Basically just Iron Fist, but black clothes. And then we'll say he has a black fur coat around his neck. Anyways, that's Deku's outfit. Okay. So we see Deku's outfit, and it's pretty cool, with Ochako showing off hers, with Deku doing the same reaction he did in the original. Anyways, they do like the ball spin, and then they get their teams with its Deku being Ochako, with Deku and Ochako, with Ida versus and Bakugo as the villains. So Deku says he immediately knows what Bakugo wants to do, because that's what he wants to do. And Ochako says what? Fight each other. And so when the timer starts, bell rings or something, whatever, they get into the building, go to at least to the second floor, and see Bakugo, with Bakugo signaling to Ochako to move past him. And Ochako walks past, and Deku and Bakugo get into their stances. And they basically stare down at each other until Ochako gets to the third floor. And so the battle begins with Deku throwing out the snake, trying to grab Bakugo. But Bakugo blows out the way and shoots around the snake to shoot at Deku. But the I think the ox blocks the explosion and then sends a headbutt towards Bakugo, which actually connects, shooting him back into a thing. But Bakugo shoots a huge amount of explosives at Deku, which hits all of them. He hit this time because the ox was distracted. So after getting hit with these, Deku summons his snake and ox back and summon out his dog to basically beat up Bakugo, with Bakugo exploding forward to fight him dodging a swipe from the wolf, with Deku then gut-checking him with his knee. Bakugo backing up in pain, with the dog grabbing Bakugo in like a Nelson kind of, basically holding his arms, keeping him up. With Deku then swinging on Bakugo in the stomach, with it Bakugo basically blowing himself up like a flash grenade. Not like actually, you know what I mean. No, you don't. He blows himself up, sending both the dog and Deku back. The dog being sent back so far to where Bakugo gets some hits in on Deku. With then Deku punching Bakugo back and summing out his elephant again, grabbing Bakugo in the nose, I guess. Trunk? Yeah, in the trunk, and then slamming it up 2 floors onto the 4th floor, where Deku then makes the elephant throw him up there. And then Deku summoned out the bird to grab Bakugo and send him out the dang window. And that's not where the thing ends. The snake then shows up, grabs Bakugo out of the bird's hands, and then slams him through the building, slamming him from the top all the way back to the 4th floor. This actually going through to where Ida and Ochako were fighting, which gave Ochako the advantage. And this slams Bakugo back into the 4th thing, which makes the bird fly back from where it just was and shoot Bakugo with the electric explosion. And then Deku clotheslines Bakugo, spinning him in the air. Then he summons his ox, which the snake disappears, if you're realizing Deku can only summon 2 at a time. Then the ox slams Bakugo and drags him to the concrete. And eventually, Bakugo gets tired and goes unconscious. But then Deku desummons all of his things, hearing the thing ring saying heroes win, with Ochako being able to touch the bomb after that whole snake incident. Anyways, Deku wins, and Baku's annoyed, unconscious. But Deku then heals all of Baku's superficial wounds. So he's still unconscious, but he's like healed. And then the deer goes away. Also, so you don't think of this, the deer can only be summoned once a day. Or actually, once every 3 hours. So then now it's on a 3 hour timer. So it's not unfair like it was in the healing court Deku. That's the one I did before this. After the fight, Baku wakes up in in the recovery room with Deku sitting in one of the chairs, seeing if Baku's right. With Baku thumbsing up to Deku and Deku grinning in acceptance, I guess. Anyways, Baku then leaves the recovery room with Deku, and they basically chill with each other. And then when they get back to class, Aizawa explains that they're going to go to the USJ the next week, so get their permission slips signed. So they all grab their permission slip, go home, get all of them signed, and then the next week they go to the USJ. And they're all on the bus when, of course, the topic of who has the strongest quirk happens, with everyone saying that it could be Bakugo's, but people say that Deku is better at using his quirk compared to Baku. Baku, being a bit more mellowed out, but not too mellowed out, says that Deku, I only lost because Deku has been training with me his whole life. With Deku saying the same. Well, except he says, I would have lost if Baku had trained as hard as I did. Baku then getting annoyed, but he brushes it off. Sorry about that. Yeah. After they just settled that conversation, and luckily they get to the USJ after that, because it's pretty quickly. So they go in and are excited to learn when they're still excited to learn, of course, when Ochako's favorite hero shows up. I don't know her name. In the comment section, tell me her name, please. I have no idea. Anyways, after Ochako's done gushing, and after the Ochako's favorite hero is done explaining how quirks can be dangerous, a portal opens up to reveal Shigaraki and all of the guest villains, with Aizawa immediately jumping into action. And he fights them until Kurogiri shows him into Class 1A. And I don't think Deku really does anything here. And Baku and Kirishima do the same thing they did in the original, and all the Class 1A gets teleported. With Deku then summoning the bird to catch him, and he catches both Mineta and Tsuyu. They land on the boat with the bird, realizing there's about the villains in there, diving in on its own intuition. And then it electrocutes the entire water, making all the villains unconscious. Well, it does like a few loops and stuff to charge up the electricity, and then it dives and then shoots it out. Then it comes out of the water and dries itself off after landing. Deku saying thank you and pets her, because I know its gender. So it flies back into the black ink. Then Deku, knowing that the water's fine, considering she's gone now, her powers are tied to her being there or not. So they jump into the water, and Tsuyu flies them, basically. Swims over to where they were in the original. I don't know what it's really called. I don't know, shore. where they see Aizawa getting his face beaten in by the Nomu, with Deku then getting out of the water in annoyance and enraged. So then he summons out his elephant and ox. The elephant on top of the Nomu, while the ox is charging up in its bulldoze attack. A lot bigger than it is than he did use. So when the elephant lands on the Nomu catches it and throws it off him. And the elephant disappears while the toads show up, grabbing Aizawa and putting him in the toad. And then the toad jumps back up to the thing and spits him out. And then going back into the black hole. The black ink, I don't know. Then the attack finally lands on the Nomu, with the Nomu actually being held back, until it plants its feet and then grabs the ox by its calves and then chest, and then tears it into an inky blackness. Then it, turns into ink over the Nomu, but it just bubbles off. With then the tiger showing back up and roaring, with the Nomu actually stopping completely. And the tiger, by the way, has to constantly roar for this effect to happen. Luckily it has big lung capacity. So Deku decides he's going to hit it with basically everything he's got. So the snake shows up, smacking it like a buttload of times, then shooting it into the air. Then the bird shows up, charging up really quickly, also hitting the Nomu, then hits it with the electricity attack, shooting it down. Then those both go back into inky black, where the ox shows back up, and then just basically charges the Nomu, impaling it and shooting it up. Where the toads are waiting to whip the shite out of him, and then they throw him to the ground. Then the wolf's down to catch it where it's in its monster form, and then it just ultra slashes the crap out of the Nomu. Then it actually tears off one of the Nomu's arms with its teeth. And then its foot. Then after the tiger is done roaring, it goes back into Ziggy Blackness, with Deku being absolutely exhausted, with the Nomu basically looking very dead to Deku. But the Nomu starts regenerating, with Deku fearing for his life after this, with Shigaraki cackling like a old-timey villain. And then Deku scared until All Might blocks the punch that the Nomu was charging right at him with. Then Deku parries. Then All Might punishes the Nomu by punching it in the gut, pushing it back. And of course tanking it, because it's basically encountered All Might. And so All Might, and by the way, the only reason Deku was hurting the Nomu was because of the whole canceling out the quirks, so no shock absorption. With Deku then seeing that All Might's punches are just bouncing off the Nomu, with Deku remembering that he could use his tiger again. But before he can, Shigaraki goes charging at him, enraged because, he didn't die. But Deku summons his snake to headbutt him away from him. Then Shigaraki gets his ass kicked by the snake, with Shigaraki touching the snake and it disintegrating into ink. With Shigaraki being far away from Deku summons the tiger and it roars. So All Might doesn't have to, send out all his strength. He can just punch the Nomu as hard as he wants. So the Nomu gets its ass kicked and then sent into space. And then it loses like it did in the original, but with All Might being significantly less tired. Before, of course, the Nomu gets yeeted out of space, Shigaraki and Koryu leave, with Shigaraki being irritated. So Deku puts his fist up, puts his fist to his chest and says his line, "Back in the day, that would have taken just one punch." Anyways, that's where I'm gonna leave it for now. Hope you liked the video. Like, subscribe, hit the post notification bells, and see y'all later.